Have you ever loved someone so much that you ignored all the red flags? Have you ever looked back and thought, how could I not see it? How could I be so blind? If you've ever asked yourself that question, this video might just be the mirror you need, because today, we're diving deep into something most people are too afraid to talk about: the signs of a foolish, destructive woman, and how the timeless wisdom of Marcus Aurelius can protect your peace, your heart, and your future. Before we go further, hit that subscribe button and like this video. We dive into Stoic philosophy, love, and life every week, and this one might just change the way you look at relationships forever. And trust me, watch this video till the end. What you're about to learn could save you years of emotional pain. The fall, when blind love meets foolishness. A man named Darius once met a woman who sparkled. She was beautiful, energetic, said all the right things. At first he thought he had found his soulmate, but slowly things started to shift. She disrespected him in public, laughed at his dreams, flirted openly with others. Yet he stayed. Why? Because he couldn't believe someone he loved so deeply could be so foolish, so draining. It wasn't until years later, after heartbreak and therapy, that Darius realized he had confused love with attachment, and he had ignored the 6 signs that Marcus Aurelius, if he were alive today, would have warned him about. Let's walk through those signs, and then we'll go through Marcus Aurelius's 10 suggestions for guarding yourself against or expanded. She thinks emotion is more important than logic. Have you ever had an argument with someone where no matter what you said, even if it was calm, clear, and backed with facts, it somehow made everything worse? If that's ever happened to you, you might have loved a woman who believed emotion is more important than logic. Let me tell you a story, and maybe, just maybe, it's your story too. There was a man, let's call him Armin. He was smart, gentle, and believed that every problem had a solution. He believed that love was about understanding, and when he met her, he thought the universe had finally blessed him. She was fiery, passionate, beautiful, the kind of woman who could light up a room with her presence. In the beginning, it felt magical. You know that feeling, right? That rush in your chest like you're floating? That moment when she touches your hand and the world goes quiet? But slowly, the magic twisted. Armin noticed something. Every time there was a disagreement, no matter how small, she would cry, yell, storm off, or even throw things. It wasn't just an argument, it was emotional warfare. He'd calmly try to explain, "Hey, I'm not attacking you. I just want to understand what upset you." But she'd shout, "Why are you always on my case? You're making me feel terrible." And just like that, logic died. Let me ask you something, friend. Have you ever tried to be the reasonable one and it made her even angrier? Have you ever walked on eggshells just to avoid triggering a storm? Marcus Aurelius warned us long ago. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. But how can you find strength? When someone weaponizes their emotions, every time you try to bring peace? A foolish woman does not want solutions, and she wants control. She uses her emotions like a smokescreen to avoid accountability. And here's the tragic part. Armin stayed. He stayed because he confused emotional chaos for passion. He thought, this must be what real love feels like. Unpredictable, raw, fiery. But he was wrong. Real love isn't chaos. It's clarity. It's not being afraid to speak. It's being able to sit together in silence and still feel understood. So I ask you, and be honest with yourself, have you ever been in a relationship where you weren't allowed to make sense? Where your calmness made her angrier? Where her feelings were the only truth that mattered? If so, you've already seen the first sign. And the sooner you recognize it, the faster you escape the trap. Because love without logic is just emotional slavery. And Marcus Aurelius would have told you, a man should be upright, not be kept upright. Don't lose your mind trying to soothe someone who's addicted to the drama. Too expanded, she believes gossip is intelligence. Have you ever been in love with someone who made you feel like you were her whole world, until you realized her real world was built on whispering about others? If so, this part of the story might feel a little too familiar. Let's go back to Armin. He was still in the honeymoon phase. You know that sweet spot in love, where her smile makes your heart beat faster, where every late-night conversation feels like a scene from a movie. Yeah, he was there, but then something started to shift. Every time they met, every dinner date, every coffee shop moment in the conversation was never about dreams, growth, or love. It was always about other people. Did you see what that girl posted? What a try-hard. That couple's so fake. They're definitely going to break up soon. She said she's starting a business?
Please, she's too dumb for that.
At first, Armin laughed along. He thought, it's just gossip, harmless, right? But over time, the air around her words started to feel toxic. Let me ask you this. Have you ever dated someone who never built anything, but always tore others down? Have you sat across someone who never spoke about ideas? Only people? Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." And that's what started to happen to Armin. He began to feel dirty, heavy, even drained, and like every time they spoke, he was dragged deeper into a pit of judgment and negativity. She wasn't discussing others to learn or to reflect. She was doing it to feel superior, to inflate herself by belittling others. And somewhere deep down, Armin began to wonder, if she talks like this about them, what does she say about me when I'm not around? That's when it hit him. A woman who thrives on gossip sees life as a competition, not a collaboration. She measures her worth by tearing others down. She replaces depth with drama. And the worst part? She'll call it honesty. But honesty without compassion is just cruelty dressed up as truth. Have you ever watched someone spend hours criticizing strangers but never spend a second reflecting on themselves? That's the mark of a foolish heart. Marcus would have said, "Don't waste time discussing what a good man should be one." But she wasn't interested in becoming good. She was addicted to sounding clever. Armin stayed too long hoping she would grow. But gossip is like smoke. It clouds everything. And if you breathe it in long enough, you start coughing up your own dignity. So if you're dating someone who can't stop speaking ill of others, be careful, because eventually you become the target. And that's the second sign. A woman who believes gossip is intelligence will turn your love story into a rumor the moment you're gone. Expanded, she disrespects your time. Have you ever rearranged your entire day for someone, skipped plans, delayed sleep, ignored your own goals, only to be met with, "Oh, sorry, I forgot," or "Let's reschedule"? If that's ever happened to you, this sign isn't just a warning, and then it's your reflection. Let me take you back to Armin again. He was the kind of man who valued time, not just his own, everyone's. He believed that when someone made time for you, it meant they respected you, they cared. And so when she came into his life, he gave her the most expensive thing a man can offer, his time. The late night calls that stretched till morning, the missed workouts to drive her across town, the work delays just to sit by her side when she said, "I need you." And at first it felt worth it. Because love, real love, is supposed to be effort, right? But slowly things changed. She started showing up late, canceling plans last minute, forgetting dates they'd scheduled weeks before. She'd say, "Babe, don't be so dramatic, and it's just time." But to Armin, it wasn't just time. It was his life. Let me ask you, have you ever sat at a restaurant alone, checking your phone every few minutes, hoping she's just running late, only to be met with silence? Have you ever cleared your schedule, ignored your friends, skipped sleep, just for her to ghost you like it meant nothing? That's not love. That's disrespect. Marcus Aurelius said, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." Armin was trying to be one, but he was loving a woman who didn't value what he gave, because to her, his time wasn't a gift. It was something she believed she deserved. And here's the truth most men learn too late. A woman who disrespects your time, disrespects you, she'll keep you waiting. Not because she's busy, but because she knows you'll stay. She'll make you feel like you're not important, while expecting you to treat her like royalty, and slowly you stop showing up for yourself. You miss your dreams, your goals, your life, all because you were trying to be available for someone who was never truly present for you. Have you been there? Have you become a ghost in your own story, always waiting, always hoping she'll finally value what you bring? Armin did, and every time she canceled, he swallowed the pain with a smile, until one day, he didn't. Because love isn't built on sacrifice alone, it's built on mutual respect. Your time is your life in motion. And if she keeps wasting it, she's not afraid to lose you. She's confident you'll never leave. That's the third sign. And if it hurts to hear, maybe it's because your heart already knows it's true. For expanded, she gets bored with stability. Have you ever loved someone who said they wanted peace, but the moment you gave them peace, they craved chaos? If that resonates with you, then the fourth sign is going to hit hard. Because you may have given your heart to someone who's addicted, not to love, but to instability. Let's return to Armin. By now you know he was the kind of man who believed in foundation, steady, loyal, dependable, the kind of man who plans for the future, shows up when he says he will, and gives you his full attention when he's present. He built a life with structure, not because he was boring, but because he knew that peace is the soil where real love grows. And in the beginning, she adored that. She'd tell him, "You're the only one who makes me feel safe." But slowly, that safety began to feel too quiet for her. She'd start arguments out of nowhere, disappeared for days only to come back with a dramatic apology. She flirted with unpredictability like it was a lifestyle. Let me ask you, from one heart to another, have you ever tried to give someone the world only for them to keep chasing storms? Armin did. He'd come home early just to surprise her. With dinner, she'd send, "You're too predictable." He'd plan a weekend away to reconnect. She'd reply, "I want something exciting." Not planned. That's when he realized. She wasn't looking for love. She was looking for a roller coaster. And he was a calm ocean, deep, dependable, but not wild enough for someone who confused stability with stagnation. Marcus Aurelius once said, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it," and her estimate of peace was that it was boring. But love isn't meant to exhaust you. It's not meant to keep you guessing whether today will be kisses or chaos. A woman who gets bored with stability will never see your loyalty as exciting. She'll see it as ordinary. She'll trade real love for drama, and then blame you for not being fun. And you'll start doubting yourself. You'll wonder, am I too boring, too soft, too consistent? No, brother, you're not boring. You're solid. You're everything a wise woman would pray for. But the foolish heart doesn't want calm. It wants conflict, because peace forces a person to sit with themselves. And she wasn't ready to face her own reflection. So let me ask you again, have you ever been punished for being too good to someone who didn't know what goodness really was? That's the fourth sign. When she gets bored with stability, she's not ready for love. She's only ready for a thrill. And thrills don't last. If expanded, she shames your vulnerability. Have you ever opened your heart to someone, told them your darkest fears, your childhood pain, your silent battles, and watched them laugh, or worse, use it against you? If that's ever happened to you, you already know how deep this wound goes. Because when a man opens up, it isn't weakness. It's warfare against a world that taught him to shut down. Armin, our friend, knew this war all too well. He wasn't the loudest man in the room, but he had depth, oceans inside of him. And when he met her, he thought, maybe, just maybe, I can share these waters with her. One night, after months of hiding behind smiles and strength, Armin finally let his guard down. They were lying on the floor under dim lights, sharing memories. And he whispered something he had never told anyone, not even his closest friend. A story from his teenage years, a moment when he felt broken, when he thought of ending everything, when silence became his best friend because the world didn't understand his pain. He didn't want pity. He wanted presence. He wanted to be seen. And for a moment she held his hand. But by the next argument, she threw it in his face. "You're too sensitive. Maybe that's why nobody took you seriously back then." Let me stop right here and ask you, have you ever had your soul weaponized by the person you trusted most? Because that's what it feels like when a woman shames your vulnerability, like being stabbed with a sword made of your own words. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "It is not death that a man should fear, but he should fear never beginning to live." And for a man, opening up is the beginning of life. It's how we breathe in truth and exhale strength. But if every time you cry, she rolls her eyes, if every time you express hurt, she mocks your tone, if every time you reveal your soul, she calls you weak, then you are not in love. You are in a prison where masculinity is expected but never nourished, where you're told to lead but not allowed to bleed. Have you ever apologized for crying? Have you ever forced yourself to man up when all you wanted was to be held not as a strong man, but as a human? Armin did, too many times, until one day he realized. Love that punishes your pain is not love. It's manipulation disguised as romance. And here's the Stoic truth. Your vulnerability is not your flaw. It's your power. A woman who shames it, she doesn't deserve access to your soul. That's the fifth sign. And if it made your chest tighten, it's because you already knew. 6. Expanded, she never reciprocates. Have you ever been the one who always texts first, Always plans the dates? Always holds things together even when they're falling apart? If you nodded, even silently, this story might be yours. Because Armand, he used to believe love was about giving. He grew up watching his father leave love notes for his mother, even after 30 years of marriage. So when he fell in love, he carried that same spirit, the one that believes real love is in the little things. He remembered her coffee order, sent flowers just because, checked in during her hard days, showed up even when he was tired just to hold her hand and say, "I'm here." But slowly he noticed something strange. The more he gave, the less he received. No random text to check in. No thoughtful surprises. No interest in his world, only hers. He once spent 3 hours helping her rehearse for a job interview. When he had one of his own, she said, "Good luck," and went to sleep early. He chalked it up to stress. Maybe she's tired. Maybe she's just not expressive. Maybe she shows love in different ways. But that's how the cycle begins, doesn't it? You start making excuses for someone who's just not trying. Let me ask you honestly, have you ever done everything to keep someone happy, while they barely lifted a finger to keep you from falling apart? Marcus Aurelius wrote, "A man's worth is no greater than his ambitions," and Armand's ambition in love was to create something real, something lasting, something equal. But love, real love, is not a performance, it's participation. A woman who never reciprocates effort isn't forgetful. She's comfortable. Because deep down she knows you won't stop trying. And that's where it hurts the most. Because you start lowering your expectations. You stop asking for support. You become the giver, the fixer, the silent one. And somewhere along the line, you forget what it even feels like to be loved back. Have you ever loved so hard you forgot to ask if it was mutual? Armand did. He thought that if he just held on longer, maybe she'd come around. But love that doesn't return, even in small doses, isn't love. It's emotional charity. And let me remind you of something. Your time, your energy, your care, they are currency. And when someone only takes, never gives, they're not building love with you. They're feeding off you. That's the 6th sign. When she never reciprocates your effort, what she's really saying is, your love is convenient, but not valued. And if that hurt to hear, maybe it's because part of you knows you've been loving someone who stopped loving you long ago. Now, let's shift. You may have met one of these women. Or maybe you're with one right now. What now? That's where Marcus Aurelius' wisdom becomes your shield. The Rise, 10 Stoic suggestions from Marcus Aurelius to guard your soul. Let's walk through 10 teachings from Marcus that can help you protect your peace from destructive people and foolish relationships. 1. Master your own mind. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. You can't control how she behaves, but you can control your response. Don't try to fix a person who refuses to fix themselves. That's not love, it's self-abandonment. 2. Don't argue with fools. The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury. Arguing with someone who refuses reason is like wrestling with a pig and you both get dirty, and the pig likes it. Sometimes walking away is the highest form of strength. For value time over attachment. Think of yourself as dead. You have lived your life, now take what's left and live it properly. Every moment you spend with someone who drains you is time lost forever. Don't waste your precious life clinging to what hurts you. 4. Discipline your desires. If something does not make a person worse in himself, neither does it make his life worse. Sometimes we stay because we're addicted, not to the person but to the feeling. Train your soul to desire peace more than passion. First, let actions speak louder than promises. Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one. Don't believe words, believe patterns. A foolish woman may promise change, but a wise man sees beyond empty phrases. 6. Don't chase what runs. Know where you can go is more peaceful, more free of interruptions than your own soul. Stop chasing love from someone who runs every time life gets hard. Find peace within yourself first. Seek harmony, not control. How much more grievous are the consequences of anger than the causes of it? You can't force a woman to grow. You can't demand wisdom from someone who celebrates ignorance. Choose peace over power struggles. 8. Reflect daily. At dawn, when you have trouble getting out of bed, tell yourself, I am rising to do the work of a human being. Journal, reflect, meditate. The more you know yourself, the less likely you are to fall for foolish people again. 9. Learn to be alone without being lonely. A man, when he has done a good act, does not call out for others to come and see. Don't fear solitude. That's when you grow. A foolish woman will make you feel alone in a relationship, but stoic solitude will make you feel whole by yourself. 10. Leave with grace. When wisdom calls. If someone is able to show me that what I think or do is not right, I will happily change, but if she refuses to grow, you must let go. Leaving isn't weakness. Staying in madness is. So what do you do now? If you've recognized these signs, if Marcus Aurelius's words feel like the truth you've been trying to ignore, then don't just watch this video, live it. You deserve a love rooted in wisdom, not chaos. You deserve a partner, not a project. You deserve peace, not pain. Use Marcus's guidance not just to protect yourself, but to evolve, so you never repeat the same story. Because in the end, as the Stoics remind us, we suffer more in imagination than in reality. But the moment we see clearly, we begin to heal. With that said, thanks for watching, and until next time.